Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Clydesdale Media Music Show, where we count down the top fives of different things. If you weren't with us on episode one, Phil Mansfield and I did the top five albums of all time. Yeah, that was a tough one. But right now, I'm going to catch up with my friend Justin Cotler. What are you drinking tonight?
I just made myself an iced Americano. It's only 4:00 here. It's in Vegas, so it's not 7 where you are. So I'm 4:00 is about as late as I'll have coffee, because I'll be up another 7 to 8 hours. So, and I have some work to do later. Little afternoon pick me up.
Yeah, I'm still drinking my iced coffee from this afternoon.
There you go.
But yeah, I love that in the afternoon, especially I'm a big fan of the Paper Street. He doesn't sponsor us or anything like that, but man, I really dig it.
I love Paper Street, and he actually is going to be one of our partners for our athlete camp coming up in end of January. So all about plugging Paper Street.
I am. So Ashley told me that your camp was then. So I am trying to figure out a way to get to Vegas.
Oh, that'd be amazing. We would love to have you. Yeah, it's gonna be fantastic. I'm super stoked about it. A lot of phenomenal coaches and athletes, and I just think it's going to be super cool and very valuable, obviously, for everyone that comes. So, but we'd love to have you here.
Yeah, we haven't seen each other since the games, and one
it
of
seems so long ago.
I know.
It's crazy how long ago the game seems, and it's not that long.
You signed one of my favorite athletes in the world, Elena Buds.
Oh, yes. Quickly turning into one of mine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I adore her. She's fantastic.
You also now have a whole Australian contingent.
Aussie and New Zealand. Yeah, the Aussies and the Kiwis are strong. We've got a unbelievable roster of Aussies and Kiwis. So and of course, CrossFit couldn't throw me a bone. They had to put the North American West semi and the Oceania semi on the same weekend. So, it's like I was praying. I was like, please let one be week 1 and one be week 3, or at worst be separate weeks. And no chance. So yeah, is what it is.
We could talk about this all day because the semifinals structure this year, I don't know how that's going to work.
No,
I
don't know either. That's a different show.
Yeah, that's a totally different show.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about tonight is music.
I love it.
And I want our listeners to know that you are very qualified in this area. And one of the reasons that I wanted to bring you on early was, first of all, when we had you and Bethany on way back in the day, one of the questions was, what's your go-to karaoke song? And you answered anything Prince.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And thus the top 5 for Prince songs tonight.
Cool.
But for those of people who don't know, you have a stage name. And I'm going to play this at risk that your record company will not pull this down.
No, I think you'll be fine. That's a long time ago. I don't think they're going to worry about that.
So under the stage name of Justin Matthew, here's a taste of what Justin Cotler's previous occupation was.
Oh, it broke up.
Uh-oh. It won't come through?
No. I don't know why. Yeah. It was all like, it started and then all of a sudden it wasn't coming through. Or maybe hold it a little bit away from the mic. I don't know. Is it playing in your place? Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
not
it
coming
is.
through. Huh.
Well,
They
that
could
is
go on
crazy.
Spotify. They could go on Spotify and look up Justin Matthew and JustynMatthew. But yeah, my previous life, I was a recording artist and traveled the world, had a record deal, and did a lot of stuff, a lot of singing, and a lot of singing, in falsetto, similarly to Prince, and covered a lot of Prince songs and sang a lot of Prince songs over the years with event bands and at big events and things. So yeah, obviously one of my favorite artists of all time, one of the most prolific artists of all time, and influential artists of all time, and obviously someone who was gone way too soon. But very appropriate for us to be discussing Prince this evening.
And this is the first of a 2-part series with you because you really wanted to do Stevie Wonder, which I am all for.
Yeah,
but we
Stevie's
will have
my
you
favorite
back
of all time.
We will
so
have you
I'm
back for
excited.
Stevie.
That's going to be
a
so
fun
hard.
show.
Trying. It just so happens that I laughed when it was like Prince and Stevie Wonder, who probably like the two of them together. You're talking about they may have written the most songs in the history of music.
Yeah, because I think Stevie writes every day.
Oh my God! I mean,
And
Prince has more songs that he's forgotten than most people have written in their lifetimes. When you think of the catalog of those two, I mean, but anyway, yeah. Prince was very challenging to narrow down. Stevie will be damn near impossible. But I kind of cheated a little bit because I have an honorable mention list of
I do as well, but the way I want to do it is I want to do our top 5 in case my honorable mention ends up on your list.
Okay, fair enough.
And then when we're done, we'll go back and hit the honorable mentions. And I have 4 of them. And then what I'm going to do for the audience, just so they know,
I have 8 honorable mentions.
Wow, you're as bad as Phil Mansfield.
Yeah, I have 8 of them. So
I think he had 8 honorable mentions for albums. So what we're going to do is once this is done, I am going to make a Spotify playlist, make it public, and people can go grab the playlist of the songs we pick so they can, if they've never heard that song, they can check it out.
I love it. Sounds great.
Awesome. So I will turn it over to you. Number 5, we'll go 5 to 1 and then honorable mentions. So I'm going to open it up to you. Number 5.
Number 5 on my list of top 5 Prince songs of all time is I Want to Be Your Lover, which is near and dear to my heart because it's one of the songs that I can't even count how many times I sang this song, but it was one of the songs that I covered with the first band that I was in, a band called Gravy, which was in Philadelphia when I just got out of college. It was an unbelievable funk R&B band, and we were the house band at a club / bar called Martini's Lounge, which people will remember if they were in Philly back in the late 90s and early 2000s. But I Want to Be Your Lover was one of the cover tunes that we did. It was Prince's first big hit, 1979, and people will remember. Well, maybe they won't remember, but there's great footage of Prince lip syncing the song on American Bandstand, and then doing one of the most awkward interviews ever on American Bandstand with Dick Clark. So that was interesting. But Prince's biggest, or one of his biggest hits, but his first big hit ever, I believe he was 19 around the time that he did, or I think he said he was 19, but he was actually 21. And it was obviously a phenomenal introduction to Prince's just angelic and powerful falsetto. He sings the whole song in falsetto. So number 5 on my list is I Want to Be Your Lover.
So I will tell you that Phil and I did not match a single album. You and I are going to match. already.
Love it.
So my number 5 is a little bit later Prince.
Okay.
Kind of when I was getting into college, and that would have been like the late 80s, early 90s, and that would be Thieves in the Temple.
Yeah. Great song. I like
Love
Thieves
comes
in the
quick.
Temple. Yeah.
Love comes in a hurry.
There's Thieves in the Temple tonight. Yeah.
There you go.
Cool.
So yeah, I love the rhythmic nature of that song. And it just kind of grooves, and yeah, that's number 5 for me.
Beautiful.
I don't have the history of that song like you do.
That's all right. I have a little history behind all the songs, so that'll be fun for us to talk about.
I have some history, but not on that one. I just like the two.
Yeah, it's a great
So
song.
number 4.
Number 4, Little Red Corvette. 1983, it was Prince's first release that broke the top 10 on the US Billboard charts, peaking at number 6. Extremely provocative, obviously, for people who know the song. And one of my personal favorite Prince songs. The vocal chops. I mean, the bridge is probably the coolest bridge in the history of music. And just what I loved about it was just it the musicality, but also lyrically the story he tells and how nasty it is, but the fact that he could make it a pop song, by the metaphors behind it. So you're I think you're muted.
Bruce will win the bet. He always bets that I'm going to mute myself at some point during every show. I thought he was just talking about a car.
I know. Yeah.
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 Not really. Prince never
really.
is just singing about a car.
No. So anyway, my number 4 is Little Red Corvette.
Well, that's funny. That was one of my honorable mentions.
Mm.
And that is one of my go-to karaoke songs.
Oh, there you go. I love it.
Yeah. So my number 4 is a song he did with the great Sheila E. doing percussions. And I love that era. Sheila was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever she was there, she added that background sound to it, vocally and percussion. And that is You Got the Look.
You got the look. What's hilarious is when I was a kid, at my bar mitzvah, they did a video going in, like a video, behind the scenes video, and it was to the song You Got the Look. So there you go. Yeah, I remember it well. Very cool. Number 4. Number 3 for me is Kiss. Kiss is number 3 for me. 1986, reached number 1 on the US Billboard charts. Number 85 on Rolling Stone's list of greatest songs of all time. So one of the top 100 songs of all time, and one of his most iconic songs, obviously. One of the coolest videos ever done for those who were in the early MTV video years. And obviously, one of his most recognizable and most impressive vocal songs. Very few people can pull off "Kiss" by Prince. So Kiss.
It's funny. I was actually going to guess that was your number 1.
No,
coming in, I would have gone number 1 for you on that. It also is the song with the worst cover version in the history of music, and that is Tom Jones.
Tom Jones, yes, it's not great.
Doing that should have not been allowed to do that.
No, definitely not.
Well, my number 3 is I Want to Be Your Lover.
Okay, there you go. Love it.
So your number 5 is my number 3. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
his first album coming out of the
Mm-hmm.
gates, and the first song on that album was "I Want to Be Your Lover," and you can't come out of the gates much stronger than that.
Mm.
And you have given the history of that song, so we'll just leave it at that and move on to number 2.
Number 2, this was really hard for me because this is actually my favorite Prince song. But I didn't put it at number 1. I put it at number 2, and that is Purple Rain. 1984, it was released. Obviously, his most iconic album and movie. Um, really shot him into superstardom. That album. Um, Purple Rain is number 18 on Rolling Stone's list of greatest songs of all time. So, number 18, pretty strong. It was originally written as a country song for Stevie Nicks, and she turned it down because she was too intimidated by the song. She called Prince on the phone and told him, "This is too much for me. I can't do this. I love it, but I can't do it." And he looked for a few other artists to try to sing it, and nobody wanted to do it because of how difficult and how iconic it was. And so ultimately he ended up doing it. It's his most iconic live song. Um, and it is also, in my opinion, one of his most iconic live performances, which is at the Super Bowl in 2007 when it started raining and he was singing Purple Rain. It
Why
was
you got to rub salt in the wound, Justin?
you don't get better than that, man. That's as good as it gets. And so Purple Rain, one of my favorite Prince songs, if not my favorite. It is number 2 on my list.
So that Super Bowl is where the Bears lost to the Colts.
Sorry, bro.
So that is salt in the wound, but that was an iconic halftime performance
Unbelievable.
for sure.
Oh, okay.
What's funny is the Purple Rain album made my list of top 5 albums of all time, but none of the songs made my top 5 list.
Wow. Okay. There you go.
So,
So what is number
and
2?
one more thing about Purple Rain is what I love about it is, and I read this in a book where he recorded that whole album in a warehouse so that it sounded like a real concert in the movie. There was natural echo to the warehouse, things like that to give it that feel of playing in that club in the movie, which I thought was super cool.
Super cool.
My number 2, and this goes to I was dating my wife at the time.
Okay.
So it is a very special song between her and I, and
Mm.
it is the song "The Most Beautiful Girl in the World."
Oh, yes, of course. There you go.
And talk about
Okay.
doing a whole song in falsetto.
Mm.
That is another one.
Yeah. Well, he has a lot. He has a few of those. Um, cool. I like it. Oh my gosh, we're already up to number 1.
Number 1.
Number 1 on my list is Prince's biggest hit and highest selling song of all time, "When the Doves Cry," 1984, uh, off the album Purple Rain. It was his longest charted number 1 song on the U.S. Billboard charts, number 37 on Rolling Stone's greatest songs of all time. All vocals, all instruments played by Prince, which is very common for him on most of his songs and albums. And what people forget is in 1984 when that song came out, was how iconic. Like there were very few albums who were doing what he was doing musically, And most of the reviews at that time all agreed that this song solidified him as one of the most provocative and sophisticated artists in the business. Um, and if you go back and listen to that song with the guitar solos, the vocal riffs, the harmonies, everything about that song, it epitomizes how brilliant he was as an artist, but also that he could be that brilliant and also create a pop song that was that that was that impressive musically. So number one on my list, When the Doves Cry.
So number one on my list is what I feel is one of the most fun songs to sing. And it was on the follow-up album to Purple Rain that didn't get a lot of love, but this song was amazing. And my number one song is Raspberry Beret.
That's one of my honorable mentions. That's one of my favorite Prince songs as well. And a song that I've covered a ton.
I love the story.
Great.
You can follow the story from start to end, and it's just really cool and lyrically fun. Yeah, awesome.
Great song. I agree. So that brings me to honorable mention songs. Raspberry Beret is on my list of honorable mentions. One of the songs, again, one of my favorite Prince songs, and it's actually a song that he wrote for someone else who she made it more popular than he did. And that was Nothing Compares to You by Prince, performed by Sinead O'Connor. But if you hear the live version of Prince, it's one of the coolest songs you'll ever hear in your life. So Nothing Compares to You. One of the songs that was one of his most iconic that we didn't talk about was 1999. And also just a phenomenal album. But 1999 really was, if you think about how cool that song was and how all of us, especially who lived through that time, like, party like it's 1999. I mean, what a concept, right? Because we didn't know if that was going to be the end of the world. People don't realize that now, but there were a lot of us that were like, holy shit, like what's going to happen when, the clock strikes 12 and it's the year 2000? Is everything done? Like, what are we going to do? Is everything going back to zero with computers and credit cards and debt and this whole thing? Nobody knew what the hell was going to happen. So that idea of partying like it's the end of the world, like it's 1999, was obviously pretty brilliant and iconic.
It was
one of my favorite Prince songs, and definitely one of his, I'd say, most provocative, "Darlin' Nikki," which is one of my favorite Prince songs of all time. And one of I just think one of the coolest. Super dirty and funky and awesome. So Darlin' Nikki.
Yeah, I was 14 when that came out.
Yeah,
and I think that song alone turned me into a man.
Yes, it's pretty awesome. Sexy Motherfucker, which
shaking that ass.
You don't get much funkier than that. Let's Go Crazy, which was, all these songs are so good, and any of them could be on a top 5 list. But Let's Go Crazy, and then my final honorable mention, Sign of the Times, which again was another great song. And then there's more, obviously, that I love, more Prince songs that I love, but those were the ones that were all on my list that I had to kind of weed out as to why I would pick, the songs I did on the top 5 list, and yeah. So there you go. There's our list of Prince songs.
So I had a couple different ones. I had Let's Go Crazy and Little Red Corvette on my honorable mentions,
Mm-hmm.
but I also had the song Seven.
Mm-hmm. Seven's great.
Uh, love that song. Diamonds and Pearls.
Mm-hmm. Great song.
And then an obscure one that I love is a song called Peach.
I know Peach.
And it is all about a stripper.
Yes.
But it is so funky and so good. And then I have a Prince moment that I would be remiss to not bring up because every chance I get to like watch it, he is not acclaimed as the guitar player he should be.
Oh, it's one of the top 5 guitarists of all time.
And there is a video on YouTube. It was the end of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
It's
inductions.
the greatest guitar solo in the history of music. I'll argue that at any time he comes out on stage and literally just destroys everyone on there. Like it doesn't even make sense. It's so
He's
ridiculous.
out there with Beatles and Stones and Springsteen, and it's While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Yes.
And they let him do the solo that in the recording is done by Eric Clapton.
Yes.
But Prince takes it to a new level, and he literally turns his back to this crowd and falls while playing the guitar, and they catch him.
Yes. It's the
They
coolest guitar solo in the history of live performance. I agree. That's epic. It's one of my favorite solos. But he was just it was one of a kind. There are very few people. He was a musical genius. Obviously, he could play anything. He could sing anything. He could dance anything. He had everything. We talk about pop stars. There are very few that you can say rival him. You think about the pop stars today; it's just such a joke compared to, what he did and how talented he was. And when you watch old videos of him on stage, I mean, the guy could do anything. And he's doing splits with the guitar, and he's doing, and again, then he goes back there, plays drums, he's playing bass. I mean, you talk to all the musicians he used to play in his band, and they were just grateful that he would let them play the instrument because they knew he was better at it than they were. But, he just couldn't play them all at the same time.
You mentioned the splits. When I was a kid, we didn't have cable. I had one channel that was not MTV. That was nothing that played music videos. I remember going to my aunt's house and they had MTV, and I was in the living room and Little Red Corvette came on and Prince did that strut across the stage into a split, popped up, and I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah. He was a freak, man. He was just so good. Like it's so fun to go back and watch, some of the old videos. It's one of the I never got to see him live and in person. I've gotten to see Stevie in person, and I've gotten to see some of my idols over the years in person. But I never got to see Prince, and Prince was definitely somebody who, I regret not ever making it to a Prince concert. As I performed so many of his songs over the years, and obviously, I think as you get older too, you respect more and more his musicality and his brilliance. He was one of a kind, truly.
Yeah, I never got to see him in concert either. My wife and I did get tickets, and he canceled the show about a month out. Never got to see him, and it was actually a club show, so it would have been in like a 2,000
that's awesome.
seat bar.
Yeah.
But we never got that opportunity. Definitely, I wish I would have at some point in my life, but that is over now.
Yes, unfortunately. Yes.
But yeah, still one of my favorites of all time. Like I said, Purple Rain made my top 5 album list, and it was fun to do this one with you. We'll have you back for Stevie Wonder. What I'm going to do too is I will have a link to your EP in the comments or in the description below.
Cool.
And for those people who don't know, next week we're having your better half on.
Yes, she's already stressing. She's like, "How am I gonna pick 5 Broadway songs, show songs? There's so many." I was like, "Hey, listen, I had to choose 5 Prince songs, and I'm gonna have to choose 5 Stevie songs, and there's probably almost as many of those as show tunes, honestly, over the years." So, yeah,
So I was researching with my mom over Christmas on the show
yeah,
tune one because I needed to like beef up that. Not I've gone to a lot of shows, but they're not in the forefront of my mind,
yeah.
and it's going to be impossible to pick 5.
Oh, I know already. She's been trying to pick my brain too, and I'm like, Ash, it's just so hard. I mean, it's like I keep coming up with a different one like every time you say something. I'm like, oh yeah, what about that one? Oh, what about this? Oh, what about that? So yeah, you're probably gonna have 20 honorable mentions and then a top 5, I would assume.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, um, I will be seeing you at Wadapalooza I was going to say if you don't pull your hair out, but I think that's already happened.
Yeah, it's gonna be I'll be running around like a chicken with my head cut off, but yes, you will see me. We have a booth there this year also, so come and hang out at the booth as much as you like, and um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. We're gonna have a ton of athletes competing. We have a ton of coaches down there. Depending on when you're getting there, if you're there a little bit early, we're doing a takeover with LSKD at CrossFit Yellow Falcon on Wednesday evening. So if you're getting there before then, I'll give you the info. But regardless, we'll definitely hang when we're down there.
So I get there Wednesday. I don't know the time
Okay.
exactly. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Kat's coming in Wednesday too.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
it's going to be the two of us. She has never been to Wadapalooza before.
Oh wow! Really?
Really.
Tell her to get ready.
Yeah. I told her it is the
There's
most fun
nothing
you'll
like
ever
it.
have.
Nothing like it.
Um, and we have 3 shows that we're going to go live on the podcast stage.
Cool.
We have booked someone very near and dear to you already for that stage.
Okay.
The legend, Carrie Pierce.
Oh well, yes, 100%. Legendary, without question. Yeah. Cool.
Got to talk to her about going back out on the competition floor.
Yeah, she's got a lot of exciting news. She's got engaged.
She
So,
did.
she's competing down with Alex and Ariel Lowen. And yeah, she got a ton of exciting
Yeah.
things.
She
Yeah.
said she may be bringing the whole team, or it may just be her. We don't know yet. But either way, I'm super stoked. She was my number one wish
Aw,
to have down there, and
yeah.
we got her. So I'm super stoked for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, she's the best. I love her.
And if you're I know Bruce is going. It's Friday at 5 p.m. on the podcast stage, and it will be in between the Intercontinental and Bayfront, where the Bayfront floor. So right in
Beautiful.
between there is on the water is the
Cool.
podcast stage.
Oh, that's awesome. Super
Yeah.
cool. All right. Well, I'll try to make it out. Yeah, I, I'm, I already know what my 4 days are going to be like. It's going to be insane, but looking forward to it. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. For people to I saw you last year, I think on Saturday, and you were trying, you had athletes in every division, every floor, and
Mhm.
you were running from place to place. You looked more haggard at Wadapalooza than I've seen you at semifinals.
Oh yeah, that was nuts. It's going to be better this year. I have more help, um, so that's really cool. But I also have more athletes competing, so that's going to be a challenge. And you know, but it is what it is. That's a good thing. So we're gonna have some fun with it. I'm excited. I think everyone's really looking forward to it. You know, and I think that the format this year is cool. The way they've got the individuals on the first 2 days, and then the teams. And you've obviously seen the teams that are competing. My goodness, I mean, it's just a freaking unbelievable lineup of teams. It's dream teams here and there and everywhere. So it'll be very exciting.
I I cannot wait. When they first announced it, I thought it was a bad move. I am wrong. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Completely wrong.
Yeah. I thought, when they told us, because I was part of the programming collective, so I had they told us that a little while ago, and I had a feeling that this would happen. I had a feeling that it was the right move, because I just thought, wow, now you're going to get all these athletes who normally do one or the other, that a lot of them are going to do both. But and then they're going to be able to compete in the teams, and it's going to be sick. You're going to see all these teams that you never get a chance to see with all these athletes together, and it's just going to be so fun to watch.
Well, and the fact they're featuring the teams, like the weekend is the teams, not the individual.
Right.
So you're getting the Mac Daddies and the Daddy Macs.
Correct. Yeah. Super exciting. Should be a lot of fun for all of us.
And I cannot wait to see Carrie back on the floor. I think that is probably my number one thing I'm looking forward to the most.
I'll tell you what, man, she's so fit. she hasn't missed a beat. I mean, she only trains 4 days a week right now. But when she's in the gym, she's generally waxing people like she normally does. It's very, she's unbelievable. She could step out right now and go compete in the individual division and finish in the top 5. I don't have any doubt about it. So, I was lucky. I got a chance to coach her, Ariel, and Alex. Ariel came into town for a couple days. It was cool. If you had a chance to, the Buttery Bros did an episode on it. It was really fun. But we had a great time, and but it was very cool how Ariel and Alex were just like, okay, Carrie's the leader, like rightly so. She's still unbelievably fit. Yes, it was pretty funny.
We had her and Mitch on, gosh, a few months ago.
Yeah.
That competitive fire and attitude is still there.
Yes, very much so.
But you had the winning line from the Buttery Bros episode when you told them that maybe next time we start with the men's weights.
Yeah. I know. That was funny. That was great. I had a great time. They were really good sports, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So yeah, it was cool. It was fun to have him in, and Ariel's such a beast, and it was fun to see them, have a little time to work together as a team and focus on, do some worm work and some synchro work and stuff. And I think they'll do really well. I mean, obviously they have to be one of the favorites, and but you look at the teams, and I mean, there's 5 to 10 teams that you're like, holy shit, like these teams are stacked. So
yeah,
it's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for jumping on. This has been awesome. If you like what you heard, really, this show is just for me. I like hanging out with my friends, talking about music. It just blows me away that you guys even want to listen to this, but thank you so much for doing so. And subscribe to the channel, hit that notifier so you're first to know when new episodes come out, and we will see you next time.